The Iron Man by Ted Hughes. Chapter 1. One dark night, the Iron Man stood on a cliff. Nobody knew him or knew where he lived. He was taller than a house, and his head was as big as a bedroom. He didn't speak. He waited, and he looked at the sea. Then suddenly, he walked off the cliff and fell down to the beach. He broke on the stones. The next morning, 2 birds flew to the beach. One bird found the Iron Man's eye, and the second bird found his hand. Then the hand moved slowly. It picked up the eye, and then put the head, the arms, the legs, and the body together. The Iron Man stood up again. Then he walked into the sea. One evening, a farmer's son called Hogarth was fishing in a river near the sea. He looked up and saw the Iron Man. The Iron Man was climbing the cliff. The boy ran home very fast and told his parents. Hogarth's father got into his car and went to find help. When he was in the car, he saw some very unusual things. Half a tractor, half a van, and a quarter of a plough in the road. Was something eating them? He started to drive home, but suddenly he saw the Iron Man. A very big hand tried to pick up the car, but Hogarth's father drove away as fast as he could. The next day, all the farmers were talking and shouting. What was destroying their tractors, cars, and vans? The Iron Man was eating them. They went to the cliff, but the Iron Man wasn't there. He was in the sea again. The farmers were angry. They wanted to make a trap for the Iron Man. They made a big, deep hole and covered it with tree branches and soil. They put an old van next to the hole and waited for the Iron Man. They waited for many days, but the Iron Man didn't come. Chapter 2. One night, Hogarth wanted to catch a fox in the same trap. While he was waiting, he heard the Iron Man walking down the hill. The Iron Man was eating a metal fence, and he was walking fast. Hogarth had an idea. He picked up a metal nail and a knife, and he made a sound with them. Clink, clink, clink. The Iron Man heard the sound, and he turned towards the boy. Hogarth was frightened, but he started walking towards the trap, and the Iron Man followed him. When they got to the trap, the Iron Man fell into the hole. Hogarth looked at the Iron Man in the deep, dark hole. Then he ran home, shouting, "The Iron Man's in the trap!" When the farmers saw the Iron Man in the trap, they laughed. The Iron Man couldn't climb out. His eyes looked like red lamps in the hole. The farmers drove their tractors to the hole, and they filled it with soil and made a hill. They couldn't see the Iron Man now, so the farmers were very happy. But Hogarth was sorry. A year later, a family was eating lunch on the hill that covered the Iron Man. While they were eating their sandwiches, they saw a big iron hand come out of the ground. "Run to the car!" shouted the father. The Iron Man came up out of the ground, and he was very hungry. He ate 3 new tractors, 2 cars, and a plough. The farmers were frightened, but Hogarth had an idea. He visited the Iron Man and stood in front of him. "Mr. Iron Man," shouted Hogarth, "we've got a lot of iron for you. You can have it all, but please stop eating the cars and tractors." The Iron Man stopped and turned to the boy. "We're sorry," said Hogarth. Hogarth and the farmers drove down the hill, and the Iron Man followed them. Then they came to a place full of old bikes, cookers, fridges, cars and vans. It was a scrap metal yard. "There," said Hogarth, "eat all you can." The Iron Man was very happy. He sat down and he ate and he ate. Chapter 3. One night, the people saw a beautiful star. It was red, and it grew bigger and bigger, until it was as big as the moon. Then one night, an unusual animal flew down to earth. It had 2 large wings and a long tail. It was a huge dragon, and it flew as fast as a space rocket. It landed on Australia. It covered the country, from the desert to the sea. Nobody knew what to do. They all waited. The next day, the dragon asked for food. It was hungry, and it wanted to eat people, forests, and animals. The people were very frightened, and they wanted to destroy the dragon. They tried many times, but they couldn't hurt the dragon. It was too big. Hogarth heard about the dragon, and he was sure that the Iron Man could help. Hogarth asked the Iron Man, "Please, can you think of a way to help us destroy the dragon?" The Iron Man sat down and he thought. Then he had an idea. The Iron Man went to Australia and found the dragon. "This is a test," he said to the dragon. "Who is the strongest?" The dragon laughed, because the Iron Man was as big as a tree, but the dragon was as big as Australia. The Iron Man wasn't worried. He sat on the ground and made a huge fire around him. The fire grew hotter and hotter. When the Iron Man was as hot as the sun, he stood up. He said to the dragon, Fly to the sun and sit in its fire. The dragon flew to the sun and sat there. The people watched. When he came back to earth, the Iron Man sat in his fire again and told the dragon, "Fly back to the sun." The dragon did this, but it was very hard. When the Iron Man asked him a third time, the dragon said, "No, I can't. It's too much." "Then I've won," shouted the Iron Man. "You've won," said the dragon. "I'll do what you want now, but I won't go back to the sun." The Iron Man asked the dragon, "Why did you want to frighten the people?" The dragon looked at the ground. "I don't know why," he said. "I'm sorry." Then the Iron Man asked him, "What can you do to show that you are sorry?" "I can sing," said the dragon. "Good. You can sing for us," said the Iron Man. "It will make the people happy." "I will," said the dragon. So every night after that day, the dragon flew around the earth and sang. The people looked up and watched the dragon, but they weren't frightened. They liked the song. From that day, the earth became a happy place. Now the Iron Man was a hero, and all the people liked him. He went back to his scrap metal yard, and people sent him old cars, fridges, and nails to eat. While he was eating, he listened to the dragon's song. Now that the people understood the Iron Man and the dragon, they were kind to them, and the Iron Man and the dragon were kind to the people.